Привіт!
Hi, in this video I will show you how to assemble one of the most interesting Ugears models. This is a timer, and I will show you some features and explain if something is unclear, and we will assemble it together. Let's unpack it. In general, during the work we may need a knife, an ordinary candle, any candle. It can be a wax candle or a paraffin one, perhaps some tongs, and it is desirable to take a piece of abrasive paper. Inside you will find these boards and the manual. Do not throw away these toothpicks, we'll need them. So, there are 4 boards here and a rubber band. There are 2 rubber bands here. You may just put them away. And here is the manual. The manual has symbols. They are designed to make assembling easier. This symbol means grease with a candle. This one measure the size, smooth the surface, trim or break something, and pay attention. This corresponding unit means additional or spare parts. Here is page 4. We will need component parts 1, 2, 3, and 4. And a bit later, part 5. Also, we will need part 0. It's called helper. This is a 0 part. We take it out. All other parts are here. If the part is not taken out, we make some notches with a knife. And we're taking out this arrow, component part 5. Sorry, I've taken these two gears too early, but we will need them later. Now we need these parts, and now we will assemble them in this way. Take a gear. By the way, make sure the surface is smooth. Because the timer is very tender, and the forces which influence the gears are very light sometimes. That is why any roughness may bring the timer to a stop. Here we may also clean it up, just to make it more attractive. Take a gear and put these two symmetric parts. 1, 2, just like this. Then put from above parts 3 and 4. Here it is. And just cover it from above with one circle and with another one. And now we have this construction. Now we will fix it. For this we will take one toothpick and move it into like this. It is better not to hurry up if something does not go easily. You may take a candle and rub it on. Thus, it will become smoother. You may take helper so that the end goes to the side. Something like that. This end is longer, and this end is a short one. You need to measure it with the helper to understand how short it should be. Here we have different marks. Choose this mark, number 1, and this distance should be as long as this. I got this distance at once. Also with the help of the helper. Here is a special hole. For example, you may put it in this hole and push it with the helper. You may move this axis here or there. Now we may grease this gear by spinning it at the candle and rub it with your fingers. At this stage, we may already put on this arrow here. Here I have a small groove, with the help of which we may determine how it should sit on this axis, and also grease this end. Here is the gear. Now we will need the following component parts. Again, 1, 3, 4, and these two gears. Here they are. This is a big gear, these connecting elements and the gear. Here we have two small gears, one big gear and connecting elements. Here I find a big roughness which is necessary to remove. We must check all the clothes of the gear. We also need to look carefully and assemble it as well as the previous gear.
Треба перевірити
We
всі
also
зубчики.
need to look carefully and
Тут
assemble
також
it,
треба подивитися
as well
уважно.
as the previous gear.
І,
Two
як і в
component
попередній
parts.
шестерні,
Here they
складаємо
are.
дві деталі ось
We
так.
put them symmetrically.
Дві ставимо ось так симетрично. Вдягаємо одну.
And put on one
маленьку
small gear.
шестеренку. Скільки тут зубчиків?
How
1,
many
2,
clothes
3,
are
4,
here?
5, 6, 7,
1,
8.
2,
8 штук.
3, 4, 5,
І другу.
6, 7, 8.
Так, щоб їх
Here are
профілі
8
співпали.
clothes. And the second gear.
Просуваємо.
And
І
this way
вимірюємо
we make
відстань до
profiles coincide.
римської циферки
Move it
1.
on and measure the distance to the
Вона
Roman numeral
трохи
1.
сильно виглядає.
It looks a bit long. We should move it
Назад
back.
посунути.
Here it is.
Ось так.
These two gears in the timer will work in this mode. Let's see page 6. We will need component parts 7, 8, 9, 10, and that is all so far. Here they are. This big gear, two small gears, and connecting elements. Two gears, one big gear. Two symmetric parts and two more. Let's take the big gear and put 2 parts in this way and 2 parts in that way. Put on the first and the second ones. You are to do it in such a way to make the profiles coincide. Look again if all the roughness is gone. Check it.
І
And put an axis. Here we have a shorter end and there a longer one. How much shorter? Find the Roman numeral 1 on the helper and measure the distance. It is to be as follows. Use the same procedure with the candle. Now we need to assemble a small connecting element. A roll pin. We need parts 30 and 31 for it. You can find them in this box. These 2 small discs are universal. We will use them in the timer later. And this part and this engraving are to be employed later. Now it is not important which side is to be faced. But later it will be, when you will need to connect it with these engravings and circles inside. Here we connect them in this way. Put a small part on and then a big one, and again a small part, big part, and a small one. The distance should be approximately up to 2,
десь
like this. Here is a roll pin. If it is necessary, we will adjust it later. Here we may grease the ends a little.
Так, сторінка
Let's see
номер
page
7.
7. We will
Нам
need
знадобляться
parts
деталі.
11,
11,
12,
12,
13,
13, 14,
14
15.
and 15. And then
Потім
component
16,
parts
17,
16, 17 and 18.
Вони в нас знаходяться
We have all these parts
ось
here.
тут. Ці всі деталі. Ось
Here
вони
they are,
розташовані. І
as well
також
as
ця
this
деталь.
part. We will connect these component parts in a certain sequence. We take this small part and put it on like this. Oh, I'm sorry. Here it is. Now we take a part without a bottom and put it on like this. This one is in front. Now we'll take a topless component part and put it on like this. Now we will take the last part, which has both the top and bottom. And we connect it approximately like this. Not approximately, but exactly like this. And then we will assemble them a little, with the help of the toothpick passed through this hole. Here it is. Now we take these two component parts and put them symmetrically. You may begin to do it in different ways, but it will be better and more convenient to take these two parts. Here they are sunk like this. Now we take these two parts. Here they are. Here we have this construction right now. Now over to page 8. Take component part 2. It's a piece with 4 such grooves, inserted this way. Take a smooth toothpick, not a curved one. It is an important access. This one, perhaps. Better on the other side. Insert it here. Then we'll have the pendulum timer. Now get a straight and smooth toothpick. If you do not like something about it, take another one. Because this is a very important element of the model. It is necessary that it is smooth and straight. For example, I like this one. I cut it into 2 parts. It can be measured here, in this way. It is to be put this way. It will be just the middle. Oh, I've broken this one. I need another one. Now take a component part here, with 2 holes, and push it through like this. and put on the timer on this side. So now we have to measure the distance. Ahead of us it should be up to 3. Quite a bit. So we need to move it back in my case. This distance. Now we have to have it like this. We need this circle to move a bit. Now, yes, there is. That should be a pendulum. It must be straight, no deviation to the left or right. And we grease the 2 axes that are sticking out. As well as that, take a little wax and grease it here, inside. Now over to page 9. Let's assemble a big gear. The biggest gear is in the timer. We need all these component parts that you have on this board. These are parts 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. I hope I haven't missed any parts. Well, these are all component parts we need. And how to put them together? Take this part here, with a hole, and take these two ones, thin parts. Find a shorter cross. There is a longer side and a shorter one. Put in a short one. So 1, 2, like this. Now on the other side, set 2 long parts.
Ось.
Here, we got this one. Well, this component part side has no circles. And there is a side with the circles. Insert it here. And check it. This one? Oh, not. We need to see which one is correct. Now we set it. It's necessary that these clothes look counterwise, to be rotated to this side. Now, it's a very important point. It's necessary that these antennae look clockwise, to the right. It is desirable to do so here. First grease this part a little bit and put it on. It means these clothes look to the left, and this one to the right. We put it on with a counterclockwise rotation, like this. Well, it must ping in this direction, but not in this one. This is a very important point. This way, if you mix it up, or flip it, or put it another way, then the timer will not be able to start. Now, put on just a similar disc. Also find the right position for it. It's a spinning here, and it isn't this way. I'm putting on the arrow. On this side, like that. Go to the next page, 10. This one will live here. Now we assemble the following construction. Take the component part, which has a 3 figure. This is its nose. It's similar to Pinocchio. This figure has such a smile and a nose. Look at the longer protrusion towards the nose, like this, and set it. So now we can see a 3 figure on the top. Now we take a toothpick. You can take these scraps that have remained. We just need them right now. I put a component part like a nozzle, part 2. Here we have a figure 2. And component part 1. That is the component part with figure 1. Put it so that a channel might be formed inside, straight, in one line. See how I'm doing. Well, I'm breaking it off and putting it together. Here. You can also break it off on this side. Push this end against the table. And another one here. Now we have a component part, like this. Here we have a component part and parts 3, 2 and 1. On this side, like this. Now take our construction element and put it so as to have this part behind. Like this, there, like this, and here, like this. And the arrow, while we are taking the big gear, has to turn clockwise. In other words, to the right, and if we turn it to the left, it is blocked. I can't crank it here, and this way I can. Take a toothpick, find here the hole and push it through. Check if you find it hard to do so. I'll show you very
вам
quickly.
важко це зробити, я дуже швидко зараз покажу.
You can grease these internal protrusions. The gear is long, and sometimes it's not easy to do it. And now I'm quickly putting it on the back part. Like this. Here we have a short end, and here a long one. If you take the gear, the arrow must turn to the right and be blocked to the left. It is impossible to get it back. Yes, we're measuring the length of this long end. The distance has to be up to Roman numeral 4. It is necessary to check for any roughness here, as well as in other gears, and grease it.
Oops.
Over page 11, we need component parts 32, 33 and 34. These parts are here. There are 2 gears and 1 block. It has the elements of the notification mechanism. The mechanism that activates the timer. It activates the timer when coming to an end. The bell, in other words. We have 4 identical component parts here. And there
Ось
are two
такі.
gears here. We find a gear with these arrows. If I turn this part to you, it will look clockwise. This is designed for appealing looks rather than for mechanical necessity. But anyway, it would be better this way. Put two component parts this way, here. This one here, and this one here, to get such a thing. Now like this. Here and here. And put it on. If we look from the longer end, this close will look counterclockwise. So if we look like this, the close will look to the left. On this side, arrows look here. Find the hole and put it like this. Here we need to have a short distance up to number 3. Approximately like this. This part is to be rubbed on the candle, here. This close. And the axis. Now component parts 30. And again we need those circles and component parts 35.
Ось.
Here is the thing which is similar to two birds. You can take out the whole block with the component parts. Here we put them two circles. 1, 2. Now on this side, like this.
І
And here so that the profiles might match. Now, not in this, but in this, specifically in this hole, we insert it so. And also trim them. We have only one hole here. Here we put a longer one. Better on the other side. Is it longer on this side? On this side, like this. That's how it is to be. Here the distance should be up to number 4. We grease this one leg below and this nose. Also this side. And now we have this part. Number 12. We will assemble the roll of our pendulum. These are component parts 29 and 30. Here they are. We are taking out the whole block with those component parts. Now pay careful attention to these symbols. So we don't have any of them on this side, we find them on the other side. I also need a smooth, straight toothpick. If you do not like it, you'd better find another one. I choose this one and put it on. No, put this little part on here. Now put on the circle this way with the engraving outside. Then put on this circle with the engraving inside. Here it is. If you look like that, there is a small hole between them. Here I recommend that you clean the edges gently to avoid roughness. Now let's put this part on here. Do it closer to the center. Put the circle with the engraving outside and put another one with the engraving inside, this way.
Так.
It should also be clean to avoid roughness, like this. Now turn our helper to this side. You should move them to reduce a distance. You can find a more optimal view of the profile. Preferably, they should be with the opposite orientation.
Ja.
And it is necessary to grease this one inside, specifically this one. I do not recommend that you grease these rolls now. We'll put the roll on the pendulum, check if everything is okay. We will trim them later. Only this middle one, like this. Now we need component parts 46. Do not mix them with 37. Here is the frame of our timer. The component part number 46, also part 47. The cap number 40. And that's all so far.
So.
This is just a spare part of our roll. You can hang this thing on the thread and wear it as a decoration. We tried to make it as beautiful as possible. This is our frame. We have these plugs and these component parts.
Такі деталі.
We can see this logo. The logo should face you like this. Ugears. Now put this component here to match the profiles. Put it
Кладемо.
here
І
and connect it to the plugs. You can connect them this way or another way, but preferably do it accordingly to the manual to have these protrusions outside the model. If you find it too hard, you can grease it a bit with a candle and the plug will go more easily. Yes, we got it. Put this component part here, on the same side, which contains the logo and these two overlays. Like this. These overlays will not let our gears go beyond the timer, because there are holes into which our gears will fit, and they will not go there, and at the same time they will be easy to spin. Now let's get parts 37. These are two plugs. Here they are. These are additional component parts. Just spare parts if your plug is broken or you simply lost it. This thing is sometimes convenient to get these small component parts. These are two caps, and we put them here. This is a horizontal top. And this is a vertical one. So both of them are to cover this hole, which is close by. This one horizontally and this one vertically. We form our rear frame timer. To do this, we will need all parts placed on this board. These are 36, 37, 40, 44 and 45. Then we'll need those in the other boxes. I will inform you about this. Now we get these plugs. Here they are. Later we will get these parts. Here they are. Now about this important thing. Here we have a special circle. You need to locate the frame with the circle outside. Here we'll have a decorative element. The same procedure as for the previous frame. If plugs move easily, do not grease them so they would not go out, just like this. Here is a circle. Here is our element. This will be a type of decor, which will simultaneously cover these holes. Here we have 1, 2, and a circle. Now you ought to put these small plugs here, here and here, to have them cover this hole, which is near the groove. Here we have the frame. All the plugs are on the outside. This one is horizontal, and these two ones are vertical. Now we need these small parts: 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, and 43. Here are these parts. Let's get the part with 2 engraved points. Also get a circle like this and a plug. Now you ought to take the circle. In this case, it doesn't matter which side it is. Put it on this plug. Like this. Now you ought to take this part on this side, which doesn't have any engravings. And here we have a plug. So put it on here. The regulation by our timer will depend on it. If you put it in the wrong way, it will be regulated in the opposite way. It will be not critical, but it will be wrong a bit.
Ось. Тепер
This is a small
маленька,
but
але
an
важлива
important
деталь.
part.
Треба
You
її
should
так
grease it
змастити.
in this way. We should take our frame on this side, which has no marks, and on this side, which is free of any deca. I am sorry. On this side with a plug. Put it here, like this. In such a way that on this side we'll get a handle to spin. Like this. This is a small part, but it's very important. It's necessary to grease it on all sides. You should grease it the whole thing. It must move quite easily. The hole should be on the top. Just a moment. We are to insert it here, with the hole on the top. It should be like this. This element will regulate it. That is, when it is turned to one side, this part drops below under the weight of gears. If it is turned to the other side, this part rises, like this. As for this thing, you may also grease its top ledge, a little bit, and cover it in this way, like this. Here we'll have to fix this plug. It looks like a nail. Let's start with this side. I'll put this nail on the wrong side. This is not critical, but we should remove it and put it on the other side. Here is the part. It is fixed here. And on this side it will be held by this nail. That is, we should move it here. And check whether all parts are in the correct position. This loop on the top is a must. We should cover it in this way. In one position, this part will go down a little, down to the minus mark. When you turn it to the plus, this part will rise a little and regulate the amplitude of the pendulum. Here is the frame. Now let's go to the most interesting stage, assembling the entire timer. This is on the next page, page 15. We need parts 49 and 48. They're here. are these two parts. Take a frame with the logo. It has the front deco. And this frame deco goes out behind, like this. Take a part with slits and put it here. We will put this component part, that is the frame, like this. Here we have a logo. There we have all the decorative elements. We find here two elements. This will be our notification mechanism. We will put these two ones in the bottom hole, here. It is something like a bird or a dog. Here it's on the top. You can take an element right here. With this hole near the back wall and connect it a little bit like this, because it will be more convenient. Yes, there is such a thing.
А тут?
And here it is. The front frame is here. We may cut it like this. We have the closest ones on the back of the frame.
Так.
Now let's take the rubber. Cut it in two and make a knot with one hand.
Ось такий. Трохи відрізати.
Like this. On this gear we can find two small grooves. There's a groove in the rubber. To have it this way, now let's put this rubber in here, in this groove, on this part. Here it can be a little bit looser. And then we cut it, like this. Now I will make a small knot. The mechanism is not working because there are some parts missing. We put component part 50 here. The shutter groove is to be put to the logo, right here, so that the dog would go like this. To have it here. Now, if you press it on the nose, like this, it will start the notification mechanism. And if you press it here, it will do like this. This will trigger the whole thing. This will be a bell, so to speak. Now take a large gear, a rubber band, an elastic cut like this. Make a knot on this side.
Тут.
You can trim it a little to make a knot. I put it here like this. So it might go inside. And then we move it into the groove. So what is the best way to show it? This way, to have it go like this. We'll put this gear. It will be here, in these places. This is one hole and this is another. This nose must be on this side, and a large arrow closer to the logo, to the front frame. The nose must be pressed against this area. It will be up here, if the mechanism is wound up. And we lower it like this. Now we take this roller and put it in the slots. The rubber band will go along the top part of the roller. The rubber band is to be tightened like this. It is to be tightened as much as not to go loose. Then we adjust it. So you can tighten it here. We are not to cut it, to allow some leeway. The rubber band must be on this side. Check that the rubber goes the way I showed you. When we are winding this, the gear will be fixed. And the arrow will be wound up. Let's leave it like this so far. And I'll show you later how to wind it on the gear in a proper way. Let's fix part 50. The shutter slot is to be closer to the logo. Set it this way. The rubber band goes in the middle roller. And when it goes here, it is set like this. Fine. Now take the middle gear. Put it into this holes. Set it with the shutter closer to the logo. Now let's set our pendulum. Check it for buzz, so it has a straight axle. As well as that, check it for the proper balancing of the pendulum. Put the pendulum in front. There's a hole here. It will be set like this, and here it will be fixed in this very same component part, which is moving up and down. Put it with this part closer to the logo. If you adjust this part, our pendulum will rise and fall a bit. Put it in the middle like this. So we have this mechanism. Now let's take these two gears. Take the gear with the close and without the arrow. Put it on the side of this gear with the longer axle. Also check it for the straight axle. And put it with the longer part towards the logo. Check that the gear is aligned correctly against the side of the roller, so it could move freely and wouldn't touch anything. In other words, all the gears should be loose, approximately like this. The gear will interact with the pendulum. It may hamper the gear now. If you move it a bit aside, the gears will rotate very easily. Take this gear with an arrow. The surface here should be smooth. No buzz should be on the ends. And put it on the opposite side. Like this. These two gears have to join with the close. The close should start interacting with the pendulum, and if you start it lightly, the pendulum begins to work. In other words, the close swing each other and interact with the pendulum. They don't touch the string, and they don't have any side friction. This arrow is not rubbing against the front frame, and the pendulum is not rubbing against this frame. No side friction. If there is some friction, it is necessary to move something. If your timer doesn't work, as mine does, try to turn this knob to the minus. The amplitude will be reduced. If you turn the knob to the plus, the amplitude is increasing. If you turn the knob to the plus at maximum, the timer can stop. Please find the working range for the knob. If your timer works only when you turn the knob to the minus at maximum, you should polish the small component part, which is moving up and down. In other words, rub it a bit on abrasive paper and trim its height a bit. Reduce the height of component part 41 by half a millimeter. Well, the winding my timer is out. If you set the timer like this, it has to go this way. The pendulum must go evenly and not to lean sideways. If the timer stops somewhere, it may be caused by a burr. Check these gears for burrs. Maybe these burrs block them. Also, this arrow can rub against the frame. Check this. Move it a bit deeper and adjust it. The timer should not be skewed. Check its geometry. And you may connect it to component parts 51. Connect these two upper ones. Look, these two dashes must be closer to the front frame with the logo. If you turn to the minus and the amplitude on the contrary is increasing, the reason is that you have set component part 38 in the wrong way. In other words, you deployed it to the other side. Basically, it's not so critical. In your case, the minus will be a plus, and the plus will become minus. It's correct when the amplitude is increasing if you turn the knob to a plus, and is reducing if you turn the knob to the minus. If nothing happens, the reason could be that component part 41 is being clamped. It doesn't go up and down. Put it out, grease, or even rub it on abrasive paper. If you can't rotate the arrow should turn to the right and stop while turning left. If you can't turn it to the right, you have set the parts in this big gear in the wrong way, either in the internal ratchet or in this big gear. That's why your ratchet doesn't work properly. I set the knob in the middle. Now we'll need this part. Here we have a fishing line. Here it is. And if the front of the timer is here, put it. Now look at page 18. We put it on this side. Here we're making a knot. It's better to shorten this end in order not to rub the timer parts. You may need tweezers to tighten this knot better. Like this. You can wrap it once. So, I've got it in the grooves here.
Сюди.
Now we are taking it out at the bottom and extending the fishing line along the bottom edge, here, like this, after this groove. Now we tighten it a bit and put it through here. These parts have to be set in their places, and we set them here.
Так, вони.
Let's tighten a bit and fasten here. Keep the line tightened and put it here. This side is being tightened okay. Now go to this side, put it in the groove. Wrap it and lead it on the bottom edge on this side. We set it in the groove as well. There should be some tension. No need to tighten it strongly, but as much as to have tension. So we're putting it here. We can move this part a bit, like this, backwards. Remove it, put our line through it and fix it. The line should be fixed in this groove. We can trip this end to prevent it from going into the timer and rubbing against the gears. You can even put it down and trim it a bit. We need constant uniform tension of both ones. It's not correct when one line is tightened and the other one is swinging. You can adjust the tension by pulling this frame a bit. Also, it should be in front of these grooves. Like this. On the bottom edge. Now, we take our roller put it here in the pendulum, like this. The roller should stand exactly on this fishing line. For example, my roller hasn't stood on the line. You can move all this a little bit. And now you can, so not to break anything. Here is the roller. The roller stands on its both rolls on the fishing line and stands in the middle. There shouldn't be any side friction. Let's try to start it. The timer must stand on a flat surface. If it stands like this, it can warp. Try to tighten the rubber band. If the rubber band is over-tightened, the pendulum begins to twitch. The amplitude may be slightly higher. To increase the amplitude, we must turn it to the plus. A little bit, not too much. Here. you can slightly reduce it. The amplitude should be approximately like this. The speed should be approximately the same as we have here. Now you can measure it with the clock. Here we have 5, 10, 15 and 20 minutes. For example, if you put it from 15 to 10, it is possible to measure 5 minutes. This arrow makes one turn around in a minute. You can turn the timer with the help of the rubber band. In other words, you can tighten it a bit, like this. The timer begins to work faster. If you turn the knob to the plus to maximum, it can be blocked. If to the plus to maximum, well, I have not blocked it. It depends on the features of the particular model. Generally, the working area of the regulator. This knob lies in the middle and maybe a bit closer to the plus, like this. So if the timer stops suddenly, check it for the burrs between the gears and polish them, and ensure that this small gear doesn't rub. I turn it slightly to the minus. Maybe the timer is being blocked because the knob is turned to the plus, to maximum. I'd recommend to grease it here and check if everything here is greased. Grease this roller inside, like this. Make sure that nothing is rubbing. If the roller slopes aside, do the following. For example, put a toothpick in one of these holes. Here it begins to slope to the right. This is done for regulation. If you set it here, it starts to slope to the left. Generally, you don't need to do this if everything is okay. Let's try the notification mechanism. I put the timer a bit down. To do this, I just pull out this one. And when this part will go here, it will press here and the notification mechanism clicks. That's how it works. If it doesn't work properly, grease this gear and these component parts. If necessary, check it for buzz. Now proceed to the end. It warns us in 20 seconds. I think it's better, all in advance.
І
And stops. If this area does not reach the end, you can adjust it with this cloth. Push it and adjust it so as to set it in the middle. You can whittle it a bit, but do it carefully. Whittle the plywood here a bit so that the arrow is set straighter. It depends on the thickness of the cloth. This protrusion presses here and stops the timer. When you are starting it, as I said, the rubber band goes right. Check it following the instruction. The rubber band goes on this middle roller. And when you start the timer and do a complete turnaround, it moves to this side. You can adjust it here with this roller. If the rubber band doesn't go properly, move this roller closer to the rear panel. Also, if the rubber band is over-tightened, this can affect the work of the timer. It can even stop it. It is necessary to ensure that the roller is not twitching. It should move evenly, like this. And one more thing. If the roller is sloping to any side, it can stem from these two toothpicks of the pendulum.
тобто
Very often, if the timer doesn't work properly, the reason is these two toothpicks. You can simply replace them with new ones, and some problems may disappear. And it can happen if the axis is sloped a bit. Straighten it and grease it again.
і
And then everything will be fine. Check these ends. They should be smooth. Here is the model. It is necessary to check its performance. I mean, how long it can work, and if everything is okay. This model is quite complicated, and the tuning is quite fine. If there is a small burr, it can stop the timer. For example, If your fishing line has got into the gear here, it can also stop the timer. But if you did everything correctly, this model should work like this. Hope you like this. See you soon, and I think we'll assemble another model. Right?
So.